Hello and welcome to another Ouchies Batrep. Today we take it to the desert as the Italians fight a fairly confused enemy. Or, considering historically, maybe it's the other way around. The mission is Fighting Withdrawal at 1625 points. The mission is, in a nutshell, to retreat off the board. How apropos it is, then, that my Italians get the short end on that and have to pull off the board. The film is actually sped up a bit compared to the rest. I had to pull out a lot of stuff for this match, because at 1625 points, the Italian Fusilieri are pulling literally everything they can off their force list, and it's almost apropos to field two separate companies. The real catch in the mission is that you put down an objective, and then your opponent puts down two objectives, and then as the game goes on, you start removing objectives. It forces your opponent to push into your defensive position as fast as possible, otherwise he's going to lose the game after a couple of turns. Of course, as the defender, you have to pull your own units off the board. It creates an interesting dynamic. I don't have an exact force list of my opponent, but I can tell you in my list it was literally everything in the kitchen sink. Howitzers, 2 mortar batteries, 2 groups of AS-42 infantry. But on his end it was looted KV-1, Tiger, 2 units of, I think, Pioneers, and some 88s. He even has priority air support from some HS-129s. I take limited air support from some Falcos, and in this instance, since all my paitrismos would be cowering in their foxholes the moment that the bomb started dropping, I use all my air support, allotment to keep shooting down his HS-129s, which pretty frequently show up on the board, but thankfully the rugged biplanes keep shooting them down. He begins moving up the center and along the side. Most of his infantry push is just below the camera around the mosque, where I've got another AS-42 company sitting there waiting for him. And as I have nothing to really hurt his Tiger, I go ahead and start smoking it with the mortar batteries. Just goes to show you don't have to spend a whole lot of points to deny him the value of his own, and it's one of the real useful points of a little 81mm battery. You should really look for trying to place them in just about every unit you have. His infantry continue pushing along the southern edge behind the mosque, while the tanks emerge from the smoke and push along the center. He doesn't want to go quite into the village quite yet because, wisely enough, there's an engineering platoon holding the center edge of the town. I also have a 9053 platoon sitting out there somewhere in ambush, so it's wise of him to stay outside of the blind spots in which I can pop the only can-opening gun I have. I debate with him briefly about the logic of sending the howitzers after the Tiger tank out in the open. I mean, the chances are it's not going to actually hurt it if I did. So, since smoke missions go first before everything else, I go ahead and smoke it just to keep the infantry safe, forcing him to either have to get closer or move and lose his rate of fire. Which, win-win for me. It's around this time that I realize that the infantry moving on the southern end of the mosque are Pioneers, and they have flamethrowers with them, no less. So, this could be a problem in the long run. In retaliation, I send the howitzer at some of their buddies in the town across the street, but it has no real effect. That KV-1, as it has been in previous games, is still looking pretty scary. It boils down to, I just can't hit it, or hurt it, with much of anything that I have. I just gotta hope I can send enough Patriots into the gears to kind of slow it down just a little. His tanks begin jockeying around in the open field looking for an area in which it can shoot, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So I just keep pelting his infantry that I realize are now absolutely horrifying and smoking the tanks to prevent them from any kind of real useful firing position. He, however, lights up the infantry with his flamethrowers, and that pins the entire company. So I have to immediately rally the CO to get over there to help my reluctant trained troops back up out of their foxholes. It's going to take a turn or two, but I go ahead and double them around the corner since there's nothing to shoot at them from that far back on the board. He's realized, though, that the observers are actually being more of a threat to him than anything else. It's effectively allowing me to smoke them from distance and artillery things from distance. So he starts shooting them all very successfully, and I managed to fail nearly all my infantry saves regarding them. So I go ahead and pelt the infantry on the southern edge just to pin them with the mortars, and I go ahead and open up the howitzer battery against the Tiger to no effect. The light tanks begin routing as fast as they can from the town because the KV has lined itself up in such a way that it could actually see them. I have better use for them over there against the infantry on the other side. A machine gun's a machine gun. It might be a lousy tank, but it will rout the Pioneers so long as it doesn't try to assault them. His assault continues along the southern edge with his infantry as the Tiger actually stops to get full rate of fire against the infantry in front of it. Not too bad of a move. I mean, it's pretty horrifying considering he has the rapid reload skill that the Tiger races allow. The KV continues moving along the northern edge to start peppering the infantry from a different direction since the light tanks have bolted from cover. Now, as per the scenario requirements, I have to withdraw from the board slowly but surely, and I go ahead and start removing my first major pieces. I remove a small gun battery on the northern end of the flanks that doesn't appear to actually be doing anything, and to catch up with what I think I should have been removing, I go ahead and remove the whole AS-42 company that was right in front of the KV. It allows the KV to rush right into the center, but the fastest route would put it right in front of the howitzers, which isn't very good. So I go ahead and smoke them, force them to move, keep the fire up on the Tiger tank, and lo and behold, one of them actually hits, penetrates, but it only manages to bail the tank. The light tanks move up along the side and successfully integrate itself in such a way that if he decided to assault the infantry again, they would be facing some 15 machine gun shots. It's already looking pretty grim for the Pioneers on that end unless he can do something to actually support them. That Pioneer group has actually lost a lot of troops coming up that side, just a small arms fire out in the open. He hasn't failed morale yet, but he has 2 platoons over there, and it looks like he might be facing it sooner or later. The KV smells blood as it starts running around the northern end, and it actually double times it around the corridor, which is smart because none of the guns can angle over there. I have to move in order to make those immobile guns turn to see them. And I don't want to do that, not when I've got, you know, that Tiger tank lined up in my sights and I can just hit it over and over and over again. It's unlikely to kill it in the first shot, but statistics is going to catch up with that thing. It only has a top armor of 2 against my AT of 4 in bombardment. I can kill it, it's just a matter of time. And besides, the objective that he was going for in the northern end is being pulled up this turn anyway. And the paitrismos sail one into the Tiger. A beautiful shot by the howitzers. They managed to finally make firepower and destroy the Tiger, the tank that was sitting out there plonking shells down at the infantry. Sad day for Tiger crews everywhere as them and the Pioneers begin backing off the objective. The weight of machine gun fire has really whittled them down. The KV won't be subdued. Going after the people that have destroyed his brethren in arms, he immediately swings wide behind the howitzer units. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. They're immobile guns. They're pointing forward, they need to shoot backwards, and nobody has any kind of ability to actually stop them. There's the 2IC back there, but it's useless. So we go ahead and figure out just how much of the blood of patriots are actually greasing the wheels to push it forward, and lo and behold, he kills everything. Believe it or not, they actually fought to the last man. A glorious gesture, I guess, considering they couldn't fight back. And at that, the game was called. He knew quite well that the next objective that he was going to have to come after was right next to the Demolisher platoon, and I was going to pull that objective up the next turn anyway. I had been pulling fluff units the entire game, and for the most part, I was still very, very well situated, and all of his units were close to the breaking point or destroyed. So he went in and called it. It was a 5-2 victory. but I couldn't help figure there was something I was forgetting. Some kind of equipment that I might have been able to use, a gun perhaps, that could have saved all those howitzers. I don't know, I guess it'll come to me. This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching.